Fellas, there are some fighters in the UFC that are just made for press conferences, whether it be their trash talk or their ability to play up to the crowd. It almost seems like these guys are specifically made in a lab for press conferences. And then there are other fighters in the UFC that probably shouldn't be anywhere near a mic when it comes to the UFC. So I've got a tier list of fighters in the UFC, current fighters in the UFC, and ranking them based on how good they are when it comes to press conferences. Now, this isn't necessarily a trash talking tier list. It's more of just how entertaining are they at press conferences as a whole. So like I said, do they trash talk? Have they actually got good trash talk? Did they play up to the crowd? Are their press conferences entertaining? But yeah, we've got a list of fighters, and we'll start off with the first fighter, which is Jon Jones. Now, Jon Jones, he's good at press conferences, but I feel like he kind of needs to have like a rivalry with someone to make it good. He needs somebody to engage in, obviously, an argument back with him. So I'm going to put Jon Jones in B tier. He's made for some really good press conferences. Like I said, his rivalry with DC, the fight with Gustafsson, the fight with Reyes, it made for some good press conference moments. But if he's in a press conference with someone that, doesn't speak English or just has no interest in trash talking, it's never really going to be a good press conference. Like, there was zero memorable moments from his press conference with Cyril Gane, and he's had a lot of press conferences in his time where it's kind of just been a bit dull because there's genuinely just been nothing apart from Jon Jones hyping himself up, calling himself the GOAT, saying, he feels great coming into this fight and answering some questions. He's had a few moments, like I said, with DC. There was that one time where that female reporter accused him for steroids and he, got proper triggered. But overall, I'll put him in B tier. I think if you are to trash talk Jon Jones, he will make it an entertaining press conference. But on the baseline, he's not someone that's known for good press conferences. He's just known for a good clip every now and then. So I'll put Jon Jones in B tier. Then we've got the guy who had the most recent press conference, Belal Muhammad. I've got to put Belal Muhammad in D tier. Great fighter, as he showed that when he fought Leon Edwards, but I don't know what was going on in that press conference. Maybe he lost his voice, or I know he does sound very similar to that on a regular basis, but he sounded like Marge Simpson in that press conference. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if he, had to screech because he couldn't hear himself because the crowd booing him. I don't know what was going on, but there are some guys who just don't need to be doing all that on the mic. There are some guys who just do too much, and I feel like Belal Muhammad was exactly that. He came up with a couple good one-liners, he tried mocking Leon Edwards. And to be honest, if we're talking about just him and Leon going at it at the press conference, I'd say Belal probably got the better of the exchange throughout the entire press conference, but it's just kind of painful to listen to Belal Muhammad. It's like listening to nails scraping on a chalkboard. So I'm going to put Belal Muhammad in D tier. He's not got the worst one-liners, I'm going to be honest. He hasn't got the worst trash talk, but he's not really built for press conferences. When you're trying to come up with these great lines and the crowd are just, overwhelming you with boos, it doesn't really hit the same. So I'm going to put Belal Muhammad in D tier for press conferences. Like I said, great fighter, but maybe trash talking ain't for him. Then we've got Sean Strickland. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there are some fighters that are just built for press conferences, and Sean Strickland is that fighter. I'm going to put him all the way in S tier. He is probably the king of press conferences in the UFC right now. He's only had a handful of press conferences, but every single one of them, he has made an entertaining press conference, and he has been the star. The first one, I'm pretty sure it was at UFC 276, where he trash talked Izzy, basically just started triggering Izzy, roasting the shit out of Adesanya, and it was one of the best press conference moments. Adesanya looked speechless on the mic. And then he had his press conference actually with Israel Adesanya, in which obviously still went at Adesanya, went personal with it, made it one of the best press conferences of the year last year. It was one of the most hyped press conferences of the year. People were saying that we should be charging for that press conference. Then he had the one with Dricus du Plessis, and the one where it was like him, Dricus, and Sean O'Malley, cooked Sean O'Malley, had a back and forth with Dricus where he got triggered. So I'll say that Sean Strickland's an S tier. He knows how to trigger opponents. It doesn't matter if you're the nicest guy or if you're a guy like Adesanya, he's going to find a way to trash talk you. He knows how to get the crowd hyped up. So I'm going to put Sean Strickland in S tier. Now, he does get kind of emotional. I feel like Dricus du Plessis kind of got in his head at the press conference when, what he said about his dad and stuff. So I feel like Strickland is eligible to get in, it's not that hard to get in his head, but he's a good guy when it comes to press conferences, and I would say he's probably the best at it in the UFC right now. Then we've got the other Sean O'Malley. I'll put Sean O'Malley in C tier. At least he actually goes for it. At least in every single press conference that Sean O'Malley has had, he has had some form of altercation with somebody at a press conference, whether it be, when he was against Peter Yan, whether it be the recent ones with Sterling and Marlon Vera. He tends, or even like I said, the one with Sean Strickland, he tends to trash talk in every single press conference, and he seems to be a guy who tries playing up for the press conference, but he just doesn't, I don't know, it feels so forced, like he's got this rainbow-coloured hair, he's meant to be this big star, he's a really entertaining fighter, but then on the mic, he's so dull, he's got no charisma in his voice, he's extremely squeaky. He doesn't really come up with the best trash talk as well. It's kind of like the most, it's like 12-year-old Xbox Live trash talk type of stuff. So I'm going to put Shaun Ali in C tier. At least he tries, and he's not as bad as Bilal Muhammad. And there are some times when he makes good points in press conferences, but I feel like it's just so forced from Shaun O'Malley to the point where it's kind of like, yeah, good one, bro. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll put Shaun O'Malley in C tier. It is what it is. He's not bad, but he's not great at press conferences. Then we've got Ilia Topuria. Topuria's had a few exchanges in press conferences. He had that one with Paddy Pimblett, in which I would argue he actually, he did better than Paddy Pimblett in that press conference, and he don't even speak English. And then he had the one with Volkanovski. The one with Volkanovski was kind of forced. It was almost as if he was trying to start a fight with Volkanovski on every given occasion. But the one with Paddy Pimblett was kind of fun. Again, I feel like he needs a good guy to trash talk with. Like the Bryce Mitchell, they never had any exchanges. I can't see him. I mean, him versus Holloway might have a few exchanges because they've been going at it on Twitter. He's got broken English. He gets kind of mad at press conferences. He goes kind of wild when, someone trash talks him. But again, similar to Jon Jones, if someone's not trash talking him first, he's probably just going to sit there and say nothing. So I'll put Topuria in C tier. He's had some good moments, and I think he will have some more good moments when he gets some good guys to engage in, an argument with. But as of right now, I'm going to put Ilia Topuria in C tier. Then we've got Ian Garry. I'm going to put Ian Garry in, I'll put him in probably C tier. Similar to Shaun O'Malley, he knows, at least he tries engaging in trash talk. He did it with MVP. In fact, his altercation with MVP was the only good thing about the UFC 303 press conference, and then Dana ended it way too early. And he actually kind of cooked MVP at the press conference with the exposing that he's trying to get like some spies to watch him during his training camp. So I'll give Ian Garry credit for that. But at the beginning, I don't just want to say he's copying Conor McGregor because he's Irish, but a lot of the lines that he's coming out with, it's almost as if he's just trying to be this new Irish star, and it does not work when every single person in the crowd, everyone in that panel with him hates his guts. He just kind of seems like the kid. I don't know, man. His trash talk never seems to work. Like, he never really comes up with any good points apart from that one with MVP. The one with Neil Magny was so forced as well. Neil Magny, I don't think I've ever heard that dude say a bad thing, and he was just trying to force it with Neil Magny. Literally ruined that press conference. It was painful to watch. The one with Jeff Neal didn't really say anything to Jeff Neal, so it's just the same stuff every time. Saying that he's going to get his hand raised, saying that he's going to shock the haters once again. Like, it's just the same generic stuff over and over again. So I'm going to put Ian Garry in C tier. Not really built for press conferences, but at least he tries to go for it, unlike a lot of fighters, so I'll give him the benefit of that and put him in C tier. Then we've got Dricus du Plessis. I think he's got really underrated press conference skills. I'm going to put him in A tier. Dricus du Plessis, he's not this loud press conference guy, but he's had some really good press conference moments. Even in the non-public press conferences, like the media day. That's kind of how the Adesanya rivalry kind of started. The one with Sean Strickland, he got in Sean Strickland's head. We know Strickland, for me, this guy who's meant to be the king of press conferences, and Dricus du Plessis got in his head with the dad comments. That recent moment that he had with Adesanya, where he basically just got in did get in Adesanya's head, but he kind of cooked Adesanya at the press conference, made him look like an absolute idiot when he was sending out one-liners. And I think Dricus du Plessis has really underrated press conference skills. Again, he kind of needs someone that's going to try and engage back, because, for example, his press conference with Robert Whittaker was extremely boring, but if he's trash-talking somebody like a Dricus du Plessis or an Adesanya, it's actually kind of funny, and that's why I'm excited to see his actual main public press conference with Adesanya rather than just a media press conference. So I'm going to put Dricus in A tier. He knows how to get in people's head, and he's actually quite kind of funny at press conferences. He doesn't really let the trash talkers overwhelm him or anything like that. So I'm going to put Dricus du Plessis in A tier. Then we've got Conor McGregor. I mean, I don't really need to explain. He's got to go in S tier. Now, I do think his press conference skills has fallen off, especially in that third fight with Poirier, because even Poirier was making some good points in that press conference, and everything McGregor said was kind of just the same recycled shit that he's been saying for the past couple of years. But if we talk about press conferences over the years, Conor McGregor's got to be that guy. I mean, there's countless videos on YouTube of Conor McGregor's press conference compilations. Leading up to the featherweight belt, he was cooking everybody at press conferences. His trash talk was like nobody else. He knew how to get the crowd going. It was always the fan favourite. And he's had some of the best press conference moments in UFC history. That one where he was late for Eddie Alvarez. The one where he took the belt away from Jose Aldo. That press conference in Dublin, Ireland was wild. And I'm so mad we didn't get that press conference in Ireland for UFC 303. If that went down, that would have been wild. That would have been one of the loudest pops in every press conference of all time. But yeah, Conor McGregor's got to go in S tier. He's the king of trash talk. Maybe not so much these days, but if we're talking historically, he's the king of trash talk. Again, another one of these fighters that he's made for press conferences, and some of his biggest career moments has come from the press conference, like the exchange with Jeremy Stephens as well. So Conor McGregor's got to go in S tier. Then we've got Jamal Hill. Yeah, again, Jamal Hill just makes it seem so forced. I'm going to put Jamal Hill on the same tier as Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, he's trying to trash talk with Alex Pereira, who first of all doesn't even speak English and wouldn't even trash talk in the first place at that UFC 300 press conference. Had zero good lines in that entire press conference. And to be honest, it seems like he's trying to battle the fans or the people online more than the actual guys at the press conference. He's super salty. In the media days, before the fight, he's always trying to get at the fans. He's always trying to tell everyone the haters. He's super salty. And he's just not really known for his press conferences, is Jamal Hill, so I'm going to put him in D tier. I mean, he tried against Alex Pereira, failed miserably, went straight to Twitter, so I'm going to put Jamal Hill in D tier. Have no interest in watching this dude at press conferences. Then we've got Tony Ferguson. Now, we aren't going to be seeing him in a press conference soon because he's got a fight night coming up, and I don't know if he's going to be competing in the UFC after this fight now, but I put Strickland on the same, not Strickland, I put Ferguson on the same tier as Dricus du Plessis. Tony Ferguson's made for some of the best clips in history, and I know a lot of it is from like the media press conferences rather than the public press conferences, but Tony Ferguson has made so many good moments. That one with Beneil Dariush where he said he's going to break his student's rib, that exchange with Paddy Pimblett was one of the best parts of that UFC 296 press conference, and that was arguably the press conference of the year as well. He's had so many good moments in trash talk. Like I said, the media day stuff, the stuff that he's coming out with, saying that, you know, he's got blades in shades and he tried fighting a bear in camp. He just comes up with the most random shit, saying that he's going to enter his prime. I feel like Tony Ferguson, you could probably create a clip channel for all of Tony Ferguson's press conferences, whether it be media day or public press conferences, and you could have like a channel going for like a year because he's just made that many moments. That's why everyone likes Tony Ferguson. It's not necessarily because of his fighting, but it's because of how weird he is and just the shit this dude comes out with outside of the octagon. So I'm going to put Ferguson in A tier. He almost cracks me up at every single time he picks a mic up, and I feel like he doesn't even do it intentionally. I genuinely think he's saying this stuff from the bottom of his heart. So for Tony Ferguson, one of the funniest guys unintentionally at a press conference, so I'm going to put him in A tier. And then we've got Colby Covington. I think this might get a few disagreements, but I'm going to put him in S tier. Now, again, this isn't necessarily a trash talking tier list. Covington's trash talk is overrated, but tell me the last time Colby Covington had a press conference that was boring. Tell me the last time you didn't tune into a Colby Covington press conference. You're going to tune in when Colby Covington's having a press conference. He had the one with Masvidal, which was just non-stop exchanges. He got in Leon Edwards' head, and like I said, he knows how to do it even against boring fighters. He did it against Leon Edwards. He made Usman try and trash talk against him as well. He's made for some of the best press conference moments, and again, his trash talk might not be anything good. He kind of just goes personal with it, but at least he riles the fighters up. He gets his opponents pissed off, which kind of works, and it's kind of funny to see. And he's never in a boring press conference. Even if he's facing the nicest guy, this dude could be facing Wonderboy, and he'd still find a way to cook Wonderboy and just keep the press conference going. So I'm going to put Colby Covington in S tier. His only hope at staying in the UFC in these days is because of the press conferences. I mean, no one wants to tune into his actual fighting. You tune into Colby Covington to see what he has to say. And even though his trash talk is heavily overrated, he's never in a boring press conference. I've got to put him in S tier. And then finally, we've got Israel Adesanya. I'm going to put him on the same tier as Jon Jones. Now, does Adesanya have good press conference skills? He doesn't. But how many unintentionally funny one-liners does this dude come up with? The frozen like Elsa line, the recent one, I forgot what it was at the press conference with Dricus du Plessis, where I think he said, "Oh, I'm going to show you where you're from," whatever that's supposed to mean. And I feel like he comes up with these unintentionally funny one-liners, not intentionally funny to the point where he's a funny guy, but everyone's laughing at him rather than with him. Like, he's come up with so many cringy one-liners, and I love it when he's like the nail rather than the hammer at the press conference. Like when you've got guys like Dricus du Plessis making him look like an idiot, you've got Strickland taking it personally in every press conference with him, and I just feel like he's kind of forced as well, so I can't put him anything above B tier. But because he has these unintentionally funny clips where people just laugh at him, you can't lie, Adesanya has made for some funny press conference moments unintentionally. So that is my tier list on press conference skills in the UFC and ranking fighters by how good they are at press conferences. Let me know your thoughts on this list and if I should have added any more fighters in the UFC. Thank you for watching.